Let's call this meeting to order. Can we do roll call, please?
Alderman Brenda Brown,
Present.
RJ Davis, Dan Duncan, James Pashard,
Here.
Tom Stone,
Here.
Darren York,
Present.
Sharon McMahon,
Here.
5 present.
Okay, perfect. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes. Now these, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk, these would be the minutes from October 27th and November 24th, since we did not have a meeting in December. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I would move to dispense with their reading and move for approval.
Second. Or I'll make the motion, I guess. Stone.
Second.
All righty. We just need a voice vote for that,
That's
right?
correct.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, thank you very much. And then we need a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Can I have a
So
motion?
moved.
And a second?
Yes, Bashard second.
Okay, thank you very much. Any changes or anything to the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have an agenda. We do have an audience comment. Do we have an audience comment, Mr. Mayor?
We don't have an audience comment.
We have no audience comments. All righty. We do have some chairman's comments. We do need to select a committee vice chairman. And I would move to appoint Mrs. Brown to that position.
Second.
Is there any other nominations? Okay, all in favor of that? Do we need to have a roll call for that, Mr. Mayor? I don't think so, right?
This voice vote is fine.
Okay, so all in favor then?
Aye. Aye.
Aye, great. Congratulations, Mrs. Brown.
Thank you, Chair McMahon.
Yes, okay. So item number 6, the approval of the payrolls. So you have those in front of you. Can I have a motion?
So move.
Second. Stone.
Okay, any discussion or debate about the payrolls? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
Davis, Duncan, Pashard,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
McMahon,
Yes.
5 yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7, the approval of the vouchers payable. Can I have a motion to approve, please?
Stone, so moved.
Second.
Bashard second.
Great. Do I have any discussion or debate or questions about the payables? Okay,
Well,
roll.
on that, Sharon, on that one, I've always noticed that Napa Auto Parts seems like the only solely auto parts store in Danville that we purchase things from.
Mhm.
Is that a bid contract? Did they give them all an opportunity to bid on or something, and Napa just gets it, or how's that?
Is Carl on?
Carl is not on with us tonight, but our comptroller is here though.
I do not believe that to be the case. We do business with all of the auto parts stores in town. It just, I can mention that to Carl and see if he would be interested in diversifying or what his reasoning is behind that. But no, there is no mutual or exclusive contract for them.
Okay, I just wondered. I'd noticed that. Okay, thank you, y'all.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Davis, Duncan, Pashard,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
McMahon,
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, item number 8, the city clerk's report. Mrs. Monson.
Lisa is out today, so I'm filling in for Lisa. We don't have any really new items to report. We're still working with the IT division, working with Laserfish, and Lisa's working with IT as well on the design of the new website. And then in a couple weeks, we will be sending out our annual business license renewals, but that's all I have.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see you. But thank you very much for your report. Okay.
I might add really quick, just a reminder to everyone, the Laserfish will be a great thing for not only us, but for the citizens, because it will allow all of our documents to be searchable by word. So right now, you know, if you're looking up minutes from the city council, you want to see anytime Denmark Road project is mentioned or the Denmark sewer project is mentioned, you have to go and literally scan through each document and visually look at each page to try to find it. In the future, what you all will be able to do, as well as the citizens, is be able to type in Denmark Road project, and it will bring up every document that has that mention that's available to the public. So that's a huge project that IT and our clerk's department are working on. That's going to be a great advantage to both all of our staff and to the citizens as well.
Wonderful. Any questions about that for the mayor? Okay, our next item is our finance. Comptroller? Looks like you have a few things here.
Sure, we can go ahead and start with the personnel report.
Alrighty. Gotcha.
I apologize, Chairman, we do have one item for vote this evening. Item 9A.
They don't, we have, it says we have authorizing a budget amendment.
Yes, Chairman, you'll need to get a motion in a second to get that on the floor so y'all can vote on it.
Alrighty. So can I have a motion to,
So move.
okay, thank you very much. A second?
Second,
Alderman
Stone.
Bouchard.
Okay. Now, Comptroller, can you tell us about the authorization you need for the budget?
Sure. What you have before you is a resolution for a budget amendment. In our Illinois Department of Insurance review, which they do every couple of years, they brought to our attention that our treasurer, Stephanie, did not have a bond taken out specifically for her, which is state statute. She was already covered by our general liability insurance, of course, and actually at a higher rate than what this bond requires. But to bring us into compliance, they asked that we get this bond. So that's the budget amendment you see here.
I don't have paperwork on that. Okay, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions about the budget amendment for Comptroller Massey? Okay, can we have, that's a resolution. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Denton, Bouchard,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Davis, McMahon,
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, now Comptroller, would you like to give us are you going to give us the risk manager report and the personnel report? They're under you today, or do we have?
Kathy is here to give the risk manager report, and Jamie is here to give the personnel report. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so how about Kathy with our risk manager monthly report?
In your packet, you should have a copy of the report for December 2020. And as you can see, with in regards to workers' compensation, we did have 5 workers' compensation cases, 4 of which were COVID. And the reason that they were COVID is because of the Illinois presumptive law. So with no known personal exposure, it's automatically assumed that the exposure had to have been work-related. So that is why we ended up with 4 from police and fire together that ended up being recordables for OSHA. So, and liability claims, we only really had 3. We've had some good weather, which helps. We don't end up having as many telephone and people hitting our traffic signs and our traffic poles when the weather is good. So just finished up our 1095s for 2020 that'll go out with the W-2s, and getting ready to start what I call training season, and we'll be getting all of the annual training for our public works and other employees that has to be done. I'll get that finished up in February, and that should then begin to start our seasonal hiring. So those employees will then get all of their safety training before they start.
Okay. Any questions for Mrs. Corson? No, thank you very much. Okay, Jamie?
Yes, thank you. So for your personnel report this evening, we had an increase of 6 new hires. We had 3 new officers, Damon Bellick Jr., Josiah Bergman, and Tyler Johnson. We also hired an administrative secretary, Kelly Wills. And then in our mass transit department, we hired an extra board driver, Christopher Evans, and a maintenance and facilities supervisor, Gene McKinley. We had 1 separation, an extra board driver, Bradley Wright. He resigned to take another job. We had 1 transfer in mass transit. Ronnie Warwick, who was the maintenance and facilities supervisor, transferred to a lead mechanic, which is a union position. So in total, we had a net increase of 5. So currently we have 169 salaried employees, 66 hourly employees, and 4 extra board drivers. Gives us a total of 239 employees who are eligible for benefits. We have 13 part-time seasonal interns for a total of 252 employees right now. And as Kathy mentioned, I will be sending out W-2s this Friday with payroll. And we still have a few open positions, corporation counsel, extra board drivers, which is ongoing. And then in our engineering department for engineer 1, 2, 3, and an engineering technician. And that basically sums up your personnel report.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any questions about that report?
No, I just have one question. Maybe she can answer it for me, Jamie. When do you start taking like applications for the seasonal, like those that maybe college students or whatever to work during the summers?
Well, we take those applications all year round.
Okay.
So, yeah, we don't normally post for those because they're seasonal, but we take them at any time.
Okay. How would if someone I might know, I know a college student looking for summer work, would he just go to the, can he go online or does he have to come in and?
No, we do have those applications on our city website under employment.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Jamie, for your report.
You're welcome.
Did somebody say something? Nope. Okay. All right, for our fire chief, Chief Mcmasters.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Can hear you.
Okay. I hope that everyone got the end of month reports for December, as well as the year-end report from my secretary before she so rudely got herself hurt and left me. If you have that, you'll see the month of December was about normal for building fires. We had 5 building fires over the course of the month of December for a total estimated loss, $173,000. Pardon my dog. The month or the year-end report shows we had a total of 77 working fires this year, with a total of about an estimated loss of $1,199,875 as a total loss on structures. 77 fires. That's a little steeper than what we normally have. If you remember back about July or August, we had kind of a pretty busy month, which stepped that number up a little bit. So that's part why that happens. Obviously, we also we had two fires this year, which we intentionally set. We burnt down 2 of the vacant structures this year due to all the COVID and everything. The third structure never did get burnt down this fall. that was going to be burnt down by the University of Illinois Fire Service Academy as part of training with the COVID, they canceled that idea for the year. They do have every intentions of burning that down for us as well again in the spring, assuming COVID and things allow that to happen. That spring academy starts March 1st, so it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of about April 1st. We will burn that one down. If their plans change as far as them doing it, then we will make the arrangements for us to do it ourselves. Again, bear with me. I'm learning as I go because I'm now the last week and a half I've been learning a second new jobs. So I did my first payroll and my first vouchers payable this morning before I did anything else in my normal job today. Just other pieces of FYI. I've got the resolution. We opened bids this morning for to purchase 45 new air packs to replace our outdated, our current outdated air packs that are due to be taken out of service for age. We opened 2 sealed bids for that grant bid this morning, and I have not officially accepted a bid from one of the 2 entities yet, but we've unofficially accepted a bid for $360,000 and change. That is 100% pay bid. That is no money out of the city's pocket for us to purchase 45 new air packs and everything that goes with them. 90 bottles, so that's an air pack plus a spare bottle for each air pack. 2 RIT packs, which are rapid intervention team packs, which are packs that we would carry inside in a bag with us if we have to go rescue an individual, to take air in with us for that individual, and then all the bells and whistles and the pieces and parts that go with that for those air packs. That is replacing, again, air packs that are out of date. They have a service life, and when their service life is done, you have to take them out of service and get rid of them, whether you like it or not, whether there's anything wrong with them. So that is replacing those. Those were actually purchased on a grant as well. So we got lucky and we're accepted. We got accepted for this award for this grant again. So that'll be on next Tuesday night's agenda to the resolution to accept that bid. I'm working with Ashlyn right now. She's going to do some research for me tomorrow on the possibility of applying for another grant to update all of the exhaust systems in our 3 fire stations. That is a system that attaches to the trucks, and anytime the trucks start up in the stations, they turn on, so it takes all the exhaust fumes out of the buildings for us. Obviously, that's a big concern with us with the cancer scares and with the cancer and everything else. That's one more thing to take out of the picture for us to be breathing in on a hour by hour daily basis. If we do look into applying for the grant, that will be a potential 10% match grant from our part if we don't get the waiver, the financial waiver again, and that potential part on our part of that would be a little over $13,000 we would be paying, and then the federal grant would pay the rest of it. Ashlyn has helped me look into whether or not we have the capital improvements money to support that, so that we know whether or not to ask for it and to apply for it. So that may come up, and again, I apologize for the late notice, but that may come up again at next Tuesday night's city council meeting. I'm learning as I go with the resolutions and the bids and how everything works. And then on top of that, I've been doing a new job the last few days. So that's all I have as of right now. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Chief McMasters?
Chairman, I might just say I really appreciate the fire department. One of the things we've always said to them is we need you to find us revenue sources. They have equipment and various other things that are needing replaced, and they have been proactive to work on getting those. So I appreciate Chief McMasters and his team for working on that.
Wonderful. Chief, is everybody back to work now, or?
No. I had everyone back to work, and I'm down one individual again. My number 13 positive case is off work currently. He's off for another 5 days. Assuming he's healthy enough to come back in 5 days, he'll be back to work in 5 days. That would be number 13 for our department of 45 individuals. Well, myself included, be 46. And 20 or 21 of my firefighters have also gotten the vaccination. Actually, several of them that, by suggestion of the county, several of them that have already tested positive got vaccinated as well. But I'm down one right now as of today's date that is still off because of COVID. I have 2 individuals, one long-term and one short-term, off on workman's comp leave right now for injuries.
Thank you very much. Administrator Finch with our.
Good evening. For the period of December 22nd through January 15th, the office handled 21 complaints, which consisted of 3 police complaints, 13 employment complaints, 2 complaints against city employees, 2 housing complaints, and 1 public accommodation complaint. Do you have any questions regarding the complaints? Well, what I do want to report is that we still have COVID funding. So if you know anyone who needs help with their rent or their utility bill, to give me a call at 431-2280.
I just have just a question on the employment complaints. That's 13. Is that a little larger than usual? Or is it about that? I can't really.
It's normally about that.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sandra?
Any questions?
Yeah, Sandra, exactly. What is the public accommodation complaint? What does that pertain to?
It pertains to someone going to a business for service. Like, for instance, I can't tell you the actual complaint, but someone goes to a restaurant and they feel like they have been treated unfairly because of their race, then they can file a complaint based on race in the area of public accommodation.
Okay. Well, I thought that was kind of self-explanatory, but I just wanted to ask.
Oh, that's fine. I'm glad you asked. I mean, that's a good question.
Yeah. Thank you much.
No problem.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.
Information technology, Agnell could not be with us today because he's doing some training, but I see that we have a resolution authorizing a budget amendment in the information technology department. So I would like to dispense with the reading and move for approval. Somebody do that, please.
So moved, Stone.
Second.
Thank you very much. Mayor, do you have any information with this or?
Yes, what I can tell you is that with all the new systems that we've had, from the cameras to the additional backup systems to the additional laptops and stuff that we have and the remote processing, our guys have been swamped and they are working crazy hours. This basically allows them to have an additional allocation to hire, to continue with one of our interns who's been doing a stellar job, to work more hours to help us stay on track and get caught up, and the FICA for that position, as well as some additional, a few additional supplies that were needed as a result of some of these projects that we've had.
Excellent. Okay, does anybody have any questions or discussion? Can we have a roll call?
I have one question on the salary. Had this been mentioned before, Mayor, about the salary for one of the employees? I know one time we were talking about it. I'm not sure if it was this meeting or a regular council meeting.
I don't remember which one it was either, but yes, ma'am, we did talk about, Agnell did express the need to have some additional help.
Right, okay. I just didn't know if it was something additional to what he had mentioned before. Okay, that's all.
This is it, Vice Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Pritchard,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Davis, Duncan, McMahon,
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, legal.
Chairman, if I may, I just want to remind everyone that Agnell did send you guys an updated report. And as I said, those guys have been killing themselves to make sure that everything is safe in the city of Danville, and all of our systems are running top notch. They've been doing upgrades galore across the system, especially in police and other places. And so I just make sure that you take a look at that, because he did send it out to all the aldermen, but what they've been doing is quite comprehensive and a lot. So
Well, it looks like you're right. He's been working in every department. Phone system upgrades, email migration to the cloud, the website, the fire department, the laserfish. It's, that definitely that young intern is much needed there. So
in terms of legal, we don't have any items of information this evening, except to report that Chief has conducted background checks. Both of our final candidates have great backgrounds, as well as gave great interviews. I'm in the process of calling references now to help make a final decision, and I hope to have a recommendation for you for next Tuesday.
Okay. How many, Mayor, in the final count? I mean,
There are 2, Vice Chairman.
2. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We've had, gosh, I mean, we had a good crew. We had a good number of applicants this time, Vice Chairman. We had, I would say we've had probably 16 applicants, of which we interviewed 4. Of those 4, 2 are really excellent, and I feel like we can't lose either way. It's just a little bit of a differential between the 2. So.
Yeah, the last I remember, you said you were interviewing 4, and that's why I didn't know what you come to. So it's these 2. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We're at 2 that I think either of them you would be happy with. So.
excellent. We'll look forward to hearing about it. Chief Yates.
Alderman, you do have one vote, one item for a vote there.
In legal?
Chairman, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, yeah, Chief Yates. Okay, so we have a resolution authorizing a budget amendment in the police department. So I'd like to dispense with the reading and move for its approval, please.
Move.
And
Second.
Okay, now Chief Yates.
What this resolution's for is 3 different areas that, based off our budget projections, that we may be a little short, and being not in the final few months, rather than line item transfers, I think it'd be wiser to go with the budget amendment. And for now, these 3 areas are maintenance of vehicles, and primarily that was for essentially we upgraded quite a bit in our fleet. Problem is, especially with the cameras, there's extra costs and installing the cameras, as well as the we had people in maintenance that were down with injury, so some of that work we had to contract out. Also with the community cameras, that added an additional charges into our telephone budget line item, and that amendment for that is essentially going to cover those expenses that we hadn't expected when we worked on the budget at the beginning of the fiscal year, prior to the fiscal year. And then the clothing and for new hire, that's the smallest amount requested. We hired 3 officers. We had not anticipating hiring all 3. However, due with retirement and one of our previous officers hired last year didn't make it, had difficulties during one of the phases of training, and is no longer with us. So that's to cover up for obviously additional costs with clothing. And that's about it on that resolution. And whenever you're ready for item of information.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Chief Yates? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Stone,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Davis, Dungeon, Pashard,
Yes.
McMahon,
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, Chief, some items of information?
Yeah, actually, I believe that you all received an email. I apologize for coming late. We had been putting some different items together. But what I did was I drew up a comparison for the fourth quarter for 2020. And then the numbers that you'll see, just matters if you had a color printer when you printed it off or reading it. The numbers in the parentheses beside the number for each of the type of call is from the previous year. Same time period, the fourth quarter being October, December through December 2019 in comparison to October through December of 2020. And when we look at the traffic crash, overall, all of our traffic crashes went down significantly. We saw somewhat of an increase in the hit and runs, but it was within the range of what's reasonable from year to year and from quarter to quarter. However, what we saw was a decrease from 166 traffic crashes is what we had this quarter and 222 previously. And I think that there's a strong correlation to the increased traffic enforcement details and lowering the incidence of traffic crashes, the total number. So that was something that we look at in determining our needs for traffic and additional traffic enforcement. And we compare that from month to month and quarter to quarter as well as year to year. Below that, it says quality of live calls, and that's essentially 21 calls that we put and designated as things that really affect not just people directly involved, but also people when it comes to fear and confidence in just everyday life. And while being in Danville, we've seen when you look at this fourth quarter of 2020 compared to the fourth quarter of 2019, out of 21 of those, I believe we have around 19 decreases, and some of those are significant decreases. Does anybody not have that sheet or that email? Okay, before we just gave you raw numbers of calls for service. A lot of those numbers don't really mean a whole lot unless you can put it within context. But if you look at most of the numbers, we've seen a decrease. Some of them are not significant decreases, but they are a decrease. But civil disturbance, I mean, we've seen a significant decrease in that. Domestic disturbance, this quarter is the first quarter that I can say we consistently saw a reduced number of domestic violence reports. This is something that's always been very important to me because one, it affects so many people. Two, it's very dangerous for the people involved. And three, it's very dangerous for the police officers when they respond. So that was something that was always on the radar and how we can reduce the domestic violence incidents. Now, we also have to compare it and make sure that we're not looking at data that doesn't include less reporting, okay? So there's other mechanisms. So this isn't conclusive to the domestic violence concerns that we have in our city, but it is a good indicator that we're going in the right direction. Fight calls decrease, gunshot victims significant decrease. Home invasions, it's an increase, but it was an increase of about a 0.5% increase, or I'm sorry, about 5% increase. But with those numbers being low, it was essentially one more than we had last year this time. Juvenile problems, believe it or not, with school being out, we've been able to, lower those rates. And I don't really have all the factors involved in how we got there, but we've seen a decrease from 173 to 90 over a 3-month period. Retail theft, a significant decrease. A lot of that is some of the stores were closed for a period of time, but not that many. You're looking at major box stores, and most of those were essential businesses. So we didn't see very many of those closed, but We went from 130 this time last year to 54 this year. That's significant. Robberies, 15 down to 8. Sexual assaults, we saw an increase there. Could be because a lot of people were home. People were in different places that they normally wouldn't have been for care or for residency. Shots fired, significant decrease. Went from 143 down to 92. We're closing in on 50% decrease there. I consider that a good trend. Stabbing, unfortunately, we had 10 people stabbed in that period of time with 4 the previous year. Stolen vehicle, I talked to my commanders about this, and I asked them, what are we seeing as far as stolen vehicles? And their explanation to me with that is we have a lot more vehicles reported stolen after they're towed for public nuisance tow. If it's not the person that's driving it, that's the registered owner, somehow it got stolen. And that's sometimes a defense to try to avoid the public nuisance tow. And sometimes it is stolen, but we have strong indicators that due to the increase in public nuisance tows, we've had more stolen vehicle reports, not necessarily stolen vehicles. Something that was very, now we had this next one, suspicious activity, and that includes any activity, person, vehicles, and we had an increase in that. And at first I'm looking at it, it's like, well, what factored into it? And in our discussions with those numbers, we thought, well, maybe that's a positive sign because those are suspicious. It doesn't mean something's going on. It means that something looks suspicious. And we've always, put across, you see something, say something. Well, we had over 100 additional calls for suspicious activity over a 3-month period. So I think if we look at it, and I'm not trying to put a positive spin on everything, the stuff that's not good, we own that. But it's nice to know that people are actually calling in things when it just doesn't seem right. Okay. And so that I'm not ready to say that's a negative thing with it being increased. And then the thefts, they went down, but not significantly. So we are going in the right direction. I've seen these trends go from each quarter very similar, where we're seeing reductions comparing. You can't compare October through December of one year and May through July of another because the weather and other issues all factor into that. But when you compare quarters to quarters, we're definitely seeing the trends that we're wanting to see. And if you go down and what's causing that, I think that our command staff is making it very clear what our objectives are. I think they're making it very clear what our standards are in performance. And probably one of the biggest things is the rollout of our special units in May of 2020. Now, this is obviously not a full year, but the POP unit, they had 103 warrant arrests. These are people out there that are fugitives of active warrants. They arrested 103 people from May 15th to December 31st. Uniform traffic tickets, that's a number. They also do traffic enforcement. Had 130, but they had 27 drug arrests, which many of those resulted in public nuisance tows, which there's 83 of those. Additional arrests that were for various reasons was 64. And probably the most important thing to me out of that entire stat line is this next one, which is guns seized. They've seized 23 guns in that period of time. And these are not seizures for someone that not having their weapons cased, but most of these are seizures from people who are convicted felons or can't lawfully possess a firearm. The other, and that's a four officer unit. A lot of work coming out and a lot of productivity out of 4 officers. The community housing unit, they work in conjunction, but you all have been told what they do. They've had 65 warrant arrests. They do quite a bit of high volume of traffic enforcement. which was 357 UTTs. But I'll be quite honest, they know that if they stop a vehicle for some type of violation or reckless behaviors, hey, as long as they get the point that they need to stop doing what they're doing that got them pulled over, I don't care if they get a ticket or not. But there were 357 citations generated from that. Public nuisance tows, 84. All other arrests, 287. And that's from anywhere from domestic violence arrest, drugs, everything but warrants. And most of that work is proactive. They're not responding to calls for service as much. They're out within the community. They're ensuring the people that live in areas where there's a higher incidence of crime, that the good people there can feel a little bit more comfortable that the police are aware of what's going on and researching the problems and communicating with people in the community as far as, what are the problems. And, they seized, in addition to that stuff, they seized 10 more firearms, and there was 98 people barred from different locations that were either involved in some type of criminal activity, domestic battery, or due to their record and past behavior were not to be on different properties. So I think that the combination of all that, along with the regular patrol guys, the work that criminal investigations division's doing, the standard that has been outlined, as well as expectations that's been communicated very well with officers. I think that's the reason why we're seeing what we're seeing. Doesn't mean we're satisfied. Doesn't mean that we're where we need to be. We need to double down, like I've said before, and keep working towards what our goals are and reduce it to the minimal amount that we possibly can. And what that is, I don't know. We keep going.
Thank you, Chief. Great job. Anybody have any questions for the chief?
I don't have any questions, but I was just looking at the domestic disturbance. It's still the highest report, but there is a significant decrease. And also with your juvenile problem. And in my experience, a lot of times these work hand in hand. And I think Chief Yates, you made a reference to this domestic disturbance affects a lot of things. And I think it affects the juveniles in their homes and when they go to school and other things. And I'm not saying this is why the decrease, but I'm just saying I looked at that and I said, well, that's a help. Maybe COVID did that or what, I don't know. But
yeah,
I'm glad to see the decrease in both of them. And so thank you, your officers, and doing a great job.
Well, thank you, Alderman Brown. A lot of people a lot smarter than me have looked at the correlations as far as, children that grow up in a violent household often resort to violence themselves. And if we can control domestic violence and violence in the households and other issues that are concerning for, where's my safe place? If it's not home, it's got to be somewhere. Mm-hmm. Those are very strong contributing. That's a very strong contributing factor to other crimes. Violence in the home is the root to many of our problems. Anything from substance abuse, mental health. You look at runaways, juvenile crime, juvenile shoplifting. There's just a whole gamut of things that we can look at, and it's like, if we can just change this, a couple of these factors here and a couple of factors here, what's going to be the snowball effect, and what are the intended consequences that we're wanting to see, if we can work on those. Not that we've bank on that's the only thing we need to work on, but if we hit it from a multi directions, and hopefully we can make a difference if we continue that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Yates? Okay, on to Public Works. The mayor has said that Director Carpenter is not with us. We do have a resolution authorizing application to Illinois Housing Development Authority for funds for securing, maintaining, and demolishing abandoned properties. Can we dispense with the reading and move for its approval?
Stone, so moved.
Second.
Okay. Mayor, is this the one they're advertising on TV, the 8 million?
I am not sure, Chairman. What I will do is I will turn that over to Manager Kronk, because he's putting together the application for us. I'm not sure if it's the same. I know what it's for, but I don't know if it's the same source.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's what they're advertising on TV. And a little disclaimer, 85% of this grant is going upstate. So we get the 15% piece of the pie and greatly reduced grant application amount. We can only apply for up to $75,000. Regardless, still much needed in the city of Danville. It's pretty much the same as the SCP program, same state entity, just $75,000. And from my opinion, I think this is a little bit more of a competitive grant. We'll be trying to list 11 properties on this application that follows the East Main Street corridor plan like the previous application, because we think that scored so high previously. And we'll just focus on that corridor for these grant funds and use the rest of our other funds that hopefully will keep getting awarded throughout the city and other strategic locations.
What I liked is that there was no local match required, so that's great.
Yeah, IDA is a great partner. I'd like to think we've built a great relationship with them over the last 2 years, and hopefully they keep awarding us funds.
Yeah, that's great. I think, I'd love to see a couple more on Main Street. I'd love to see that on all of our main thoroughfares, completely cleaned up with no abandoned houses on them, whether it be Bowman Avenue or Main Street or Main Street, all of our main thoroughfares, cleaned up and looking nice, and, because that's where most of the people visit our city. So this would be great.
Yep, agreed. The $175,000 is going towards Main Street. It's funny and ironic that you said that. The mayor and I were just talking about exactly that, cleaning up the main corridors today, and I think we're going to keep driving for that mission.
Mm-hmm.
We spent a couple hours on that this afternoon, Chairman, so I think you'll be pleased with some of the soon progress I hope we'll be able to make.
Great. Anybody have any questions for Logan?
Well, Mayor, I think the downtown area is really beginning to look nice all over the city. I have noticed someone seen on Facebook where they had removed the antenna from the old Breeze tire. I don't know if this is a proper time to talk about it, but what's going on there? Is there any progress about what's going to happen to that facility?
Unfortunately, Alderman, the removal of that antenna is probably one of the last death nails to that building, because that means the people that own it are now receiving no money at all. So there will be no incentive for them to do anything. As I've said before, I hate to say it, but I think that unfortunately the time to save that building has gone. And likely what we'll be doing is this spring resuming court proceedings, and then I'll be working with you all and with Logan and our team in Public Works to get demolition bids so that we can work with the county to get that demolished hopefully sometime this year.
Okay, thank you.
That mean we'll be both lanes of traffic?
Yes, it would be nice to have both lanes open again after.
It'd be nice.
Chairman and Alderman Bouchard, it's so frustrating because I first met with those folks 2 years and 2 months ago now. When the very first month that I started, it was one of my first meetings, and they promised me all these things, and they haven't done the first thing that they promised. Soon they'll have owned the building for 3 years, and they haven't done anything, and so except be frustrating. So hopefully soon the people will be able to have some relief. I had hoped and prayed that we would be able to have an alternative and the building would be able to be saved. Unfortunately, that hasn't been possible. The amount of investment it would take, I don't think anyone can earn back in their lifetime. So it's very unlikely for that to happen. And most of our wealthier patron saints are no longer with us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, back to our resolution. Does anybody have any other questions about the resolution? More discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Alderman York,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Davis, Pension, Bouchard,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
McMahon,
Yes.
5 yes.
Motion carries. Do we have any items of information?
I would
I'd
just
like-
say that there continues to be a lot of interest in various, in the intersection of Vermillion and Gilbert Street. I mean, not Gilbert Street. Good Lord. They both run
Fairchild?
Fairchild, yes, Sharon. Thanks for the help there. There continues to be a lot of interest in those lots, as well as we've had developers that actually have resources and that are committed to bringing something rather than just buying something and letting it rot to the ground in hopes that something will happen. We have some really good prospects in the works, and as soon as I have anything that I can report,
the corner of Fairchild and Vermillion, the former First Farmers Bank site, began drilling yesterday. I'd like to remind everybody that we do have an option to purchase that site for $1, but that's in the contingency after the phase 2 testing of the site. We did get a couple of results. I stopped by out in the freezing rain yesterday to see what was in the dirt. Nothing green that I can report. There were a couple of petroleum plumes, as a geologist would call it. That's nothing really to be concerned about. But we'll get the reports back to what's in the soil underneath the First Farmers Bank site here within the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Logan.
pray for a good result, because that is a lot that there's a lot of interest in too. But if there's a lot of environmental remediation that has to be done, as you all know, it'd be harder to develop. So just hopefully continue to get good results there.
Mayor, what about the used to be a Shell gas station or whatever that's just on the northeast side across from that bank? Has anyone had any interest in that corner, or what's going on there? Because that's been years since it's been vacant.
So I might have to punt to Logan for a little bit of help with that one. If I recall correctly, we know there's contamination there, and that property has been sold at least twice for taxes. But Logan, do you have any further insight?
Yeah, so basically the source of the petroleum plume was most likely from that northern site.
Okay.
The drill that was taken for that sample was on the northeastern side of the First Farmers Bank site. It likely does have contamination underneath it, and that is on our radar, just one step at a time.
Okay.
What we would do, I think, Logan, is that would be a potential brownfield site, right?
Yes. The one catch is that the property owner has to allow us to get onto the site. So what may have to happen is that it goes to the trustee, and the trustee would then give us permission. But we will try. We'll most certainly reach out to the landowner and see if he'll give us access to the site.
The difficulty that we have, Alderman Brown, is that sometimes when there's a possibility to expose contamination, the people who own it won't be willing partners, because then it makes it harder to sell their land if they try to, or their property if they try to sell it. So that's kind of what we're working through right now.
Yeah.
Misunderstood. Yeah.
Chairman, it looks like we have Alderman Pickering and Comptroller Massey as well with hands up.
Ashlyn?
I do just have a few quick updates for finance. I think I accidentally gave up my turn, and I'm sorry about that. I didn't read the room very well. I wanted to let you know, I think it's been 2 months now since we've been together, because I think it was Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas in December. The approved budget that you all passed has been filed with the county clerk's office. I just wanted to let you know that that has been done. We did just receive an email from the Federal Audit Clearinghouse letting us know that our audit has been submitted and accepted. So that's kind of a milestone for us to know that that chapter is closed. We put out a billing and collection RFP, request for proposal, earlier this month. That deadline's coming up February 15th for vendors to submit their proposals to us as we look in that direction. And then the last thing I wanted to say is that today we received our final check from the Local Cures program, and $298,000 and some change. So that's the final payment out of the full $1,362,000 allotment that we received. And I just wanted to publicly say that all of the department heads and their staff have worked really hard in helping us with that. But I wanted to give a special thank you to Jamie, who was here earlier, and to Joseph Sweeney. They worked really hard in getting this done, and I couldn't have done it without them. So I just wanted you guys to know that they did a great job, and they went above and beyond to make sure that the city received that full allotment. So
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry we skipped over that. Thanks for coming back in. We needed that.
thank you.
Alderman Spring?
Yes, we were talking about the training for the fire department when they use the homes for the fire training. Do we or shouldn't we have a time limit on when we should tear those homes down that they use?
I'm sorry, Mrs. P, can you?
Okay. The houses that we use in training for the fire training,
Yes, ma'am.
do we have and shouldn't we have a time when we should demo those houses once they've been used in the training?
I'll defer to Chief Mcmasters on this one.
The two houses that we did were burnt to the ground. All that's left is a little bit of pile of rubbish / ashes from it. And the last conversation I had heard, and of course, Carl is not on here, was that because like a couple weeks later, I went back by the first house and it was still sitting the way we left it that day. And I said something to one of the public works people about it. And they said, yeah, they were waiting on until we got the second one burnt and then they're going to go in and clean it all up in one shot. I honestly cannot tell you. I've not been by there for probably 3 weeks anyway now to know if they've done it yet. But as far as we were concerned, when we got done with it, it was a pile of rubble. There was not very much left. What they have to pick up is anything that wouldn't burn. For instance, any piping that was in plumbing that would not melt down, or the block foundation, concrete pad, that kind of thing is what they have to clean up and then level the property. But they're for the most part on the ground.
Well, actually, the one I'm referring to is on the corner of Tennessee and Nevada or Utah that you use.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
Yes.
one was never intended for us to burn. That was just allowed us to use it because, again, we only set up to burn certain ones because the permitting process and all the specifications, that's too close to other structures, so we couldn't burn it down.
Correct.
Yeah, that one I have no knowledge of what they're doing or when they're doing it.
Okay. So I guess my question.
Nothing was burned in there, Alderman P. So the reason they used that structure is because it was structurally stable. Because we wouldn't put them into anything that's unstable. So
exactly.
I'm not sure where that's at. I would have to check with Carl or Tracy.
Yeah, you're referring to the one the roof looks like Swiss cheese.
Exactly. And it's been like that for a long time, and we need to get it down.
Yeah, that was probably August or September.
Yeah,
if not sooner.
Oh,
if not further.
Oh, yeah. Quite a while.
Does Logan have any idea about that one?
No, I have no control over the time schedules of those structures, unfortunately.
But maybe since you've sat in and heard this, you could put a bug in Director Carpenter's ear.
I can.
I think probably the big spearhead on that one would probably be Tracy Kraft.
Yeah.
He could probably, without even before you even talk to Carl, Tracy Kraft could probably tell you.
Thank you.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Alderman Pickering. Does anybody else have any questions?
Chairman McMahon, I would just like to recognize one of the retirees from the police department. I believe she's probably the oldest living retiree. I'm not sure. Maybe Chief Yates can correct me. Romadell Austin. She just had a birthday a couple of days ago. She was 97 years old, and she's still, I think, health-wise doing well, except she forgets and repeats herself a little bit. But other than that, I think she's coming along well. And I just thought this is public service to say that. I think, she's been around doing well. She's not driving anymore, but like I said, just thought I'd bring that up to those that know her or remember her.
Well, thank you.
Happy belated birthday, Mrs. Austin. We appreciate you and appreciate your service.
I talked to Romadell about it's probably about 7 or 8 months ago. And, yeah, I do believe that she, if she isn't, I don't know who is. Yeah, happy birthday.
Speaking of birthdays, although she wasn't a City of Danville employee, one of our own residents, Mrs. Ruby Meeker, just celebrated her 107th birthday yesterday.
Oh.
That's a lot of years to be in the earth, and I can only imagine the changes that woman has seen. You know, my great aunt passed away. It's been 6 years ago, and she was 99. So if she were alive, she'd be 105. She talked to us about taking the wagon to town and having to go and get water from the creek or the well, and remembering when when radio and TV were invented and came around and such. So I can only imagine even what Mrs. Meeker and Mrs. Austin have seen in their lifetime. It's pretty amazing.
How is Alderman Davis, by the way?
Alderman Davis is home. He's still struggling, but he is doing better. So he is home.
Now, I got a report Sunday that he and his wife were back in the hospital. He had been home and so had she, but Sunday they both had to be taken back to the hospital. I haven't heard anything since then.
My report was from Saturday, Mrs. Alderman Brown. So that, oh, mercy, I didn't know. Administrator Finch, do you have any knowledge of?
Well, I heard on Monday, Alderman Brown, that he was home. That was Monday, that he was at home. So.
Okay, maybe they were home from them, but this was on Sunday. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I intend to call him tomorrow and check in and follow up with him. And then I'll let y'all know next week.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any news on Alderman Dungeon?
I haven't heard from Alderman Dungeon or about Alderman Dungeon, so I don't know, but of course.
I did check one day because he did have COVID and he was trying not to go to the hospital, but I don't know if he ever went or not, but he was pretty sick.
Well, I would just encourage everyone, as a reminder, if you do get that sick, to go. Don't wait until you're so bad that the longer you wait with any kind of health problem you have, the less likely the chance you have to heal or to heal fully or to heal well. So please, if you're in bad shape, especially with coronavirus, please go and get help. There is plenty of room in our hospital currently, also in Champaign. So please, if you need help and you're struggling with that, please do go and get some. And as a reminder to everyone else, guys, that yes, we're getting the vaccine, but we're not even at quite 1,000 people yet. That means that just over 1% of us have been vaccinated. So it's still not safe. Please wear your mask in public, except when you're eating or drinking. Please keep socially distant from one another. And please avoid large gatherings at all costs because the risks outweigh the benefits.
And wash your hands.
Yes, and I knew I was forgetting one. Thank you, Chairman.
Wash your hands.
My hands are so dry, I never have to use lotion and stuff, but I've been so ashy lately, I have to use lotion multiple times a day.
I do too. It's like hand sanitizer, lotion. We just, the restrictions have been relaxed and our positivity rate is down under 6. So we're heading in the right direction. We're still having some people get sick, but a lot of people are making it through it, and we just have to stay vigilant. We have to stay vigilant. Wash your hands, keep socially distant, wear your mask when you're out in public. So just take care of yourselves and take care of your families.
Also, I would like to go ahead, Alderman. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're definitely too late in the game, too far along to give up and not stay vigilant. So yeah, it's there's an end in sight. We just need to stay true to our course.
That's right. Also, I want to remind the public, unfortunately, the city of neither I nor the city of Danville have any control over who gets a vaccination or when. The health department is doing everything that they can. They're overwhelmed. They have so many different responsibilities now, but they do have their clinics up and scheduled. They have folks scheduled to fill all the slots. So please have some mercy on those folks. Doug and Melissa and their team, they're doing everything that they can. So please be patient with them. Vice Mayor, did I see? Yes, sir.
Yes, my wife and I are both scheduled to have our first COVID shot tomorrow from OSF. So it helps to be a long-time OSF patient with lots of OSF doctors.
Good for you, Alderman Iverson. And we'll just, we'll just stay vigilant, guys. Call them up, make your appointments. I think the pharmacies right now are doing a lot of the nursing homes. But when they're done doing those, we'll be able to go to CVS, and I think Walgreens starts this week, end of this week, or maybe next. They're going to get their vaccines in, so they'll be a little more widespread. And just be patient, and when you have the opportunity, take it. Okay, so we don't need a closed session, right, Mayor?
No, ma'am.
Mayor, I do want to report, I just called someone that Reverend RJ is back in the hospital. And so Alderman Brown is correct. He and his wife are back in the hospital, and they are in the same room.
Wow.
Please make sure we keep them in our prayers, guys.
We will
And thank you, Administrator.
Are there any items of information for the good of the cause? Okay, having satisfied the agenda, can I have a motion for adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hey, guys, stay safe.
Have a
You
good
too.
evening.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Chairman. Good
Okay,
job.
have a good evening. Stay safe.
Congratulations, Vice Chairman Brown.
Oh.